I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to do things in the desire of wanting attention. I forgive myself that I've accepted myself to still exist as wanting and needing attention, desiring attention. I forgive myself, accept myself to still want attention and desiring attention. I forgive myself, accept myself to want others to look at my stuff and approve them, validate them and like them. I forgive myself, accept myself to constantly seek approval, recognition. I forgive myself, accept myself to want approval and validation and recognition from others. I forgive myself, accept myself to want to be approved. I forgive myself, accept myself to want and desire the approval of others. I forgive myself, accept myself to constantly search for recognition and approval from others. And when I do get approval, I feel happy. I forgive myself, accept myself to seek happiness or be happy when others approve my work. When others say, oh, this is a good job, I like it, I approve it. I forgive myself, accept myself to like and enjoy the feeling of being approved. I forgive myself. Well, this is a reason for constantly want approval and recognition and validation from others is because I have not self-approved me. There is no self-trust. So I want others to tell me how well I do. I forgive myself that I've accepted myself to lack in self-trust. I forgive myself, accept myself to lack self-acceptance. Why is that? Why do I lack self-trust? Why do I lack self-acceptance? Because I'm stuck in the idea of self. I have an image about myself, a false image of who I am. And this false image constantly wants some kind of approval and recognition. Because the image itself is false, but it believes it to be the real thing. So the false ego wants approval so that it can feel real. That's what it is. So I forgive myself and accept myself to identify myself as my false ego. I forgive myself, accept myself to identify myself as false ego. I forgive myself, accept and allow myself to exist as the ego of my mind. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to exist and live as the ego of my mind. I forgive myself, accept myself to live as the ego of my mind. I forgive myself, accept myself to exist as the ego of my mind. I forgive myself that I have accepted myself to believe my ego is the real thing. I forgive myself, accept myself to give attention to my ego I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to constantly want attention from others so that I can feel good and my ego can feel good. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to constantly want attention to feel better about myself. And my ego feels better in that. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to want approval and validation and recognition from others. It seems like I live my whole life so that others can recognize me. Everything I do, for my work, for my self-writing, to anything, how I walk, how I do everything, how I donate, how I talk to people. I mean, in every sphere of my life, you can see that I am doing things to be approved, validated. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to want to be validated. I forgive me that I have accept, allow myself to desire to be approved and appreciated. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to seek appreciation from others. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to like it when others say, "Oh, Anton, it's a great job." I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to like to be appreciated because I have not appreciated myself. There is no self-appreciation. So I want others to appreciate me. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to desire to be appreciated by others. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to desire to be approved and validated by others. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to constantly seek the approval and validation from others. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to place myself as a hero in certain situations so that others can appreciate me. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to believe I am a savior, the hero, the savior, so that others will see me as the great hero, the great savior, and then appreciate me. I know this because I sometimes imagine, I imagine a scenario where I am like a Superman. I come in and I rescue somebody, and then I think about, wow, all the glories I will get, all the validations and approvals and thank you cards and thank you notes, and in this I feel good about myself. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to live in the delusion of constantly wanting approval and appreciation. I know this because I like to help. I'm always ready to help other people. I'm a great helper. And why do I help? For that 2 words. Oh, thank you so much. That's the magic word. That's what I yearn for, to be appreciated. To hear that magic word, thank you. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to like when others say thank you to me. It feels good. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to energetically react to the statement thank you. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to feel excited and happy when I hear the words thank you. But what if they tell me fuck you? Then I will get the opposite reaction. I will get angry, I will get jealous, mean and nasty. I forgive myself that I accept, allow myself to react in joy and happiness when somebody says thank you. So I constantly look to recreate that joy. So that's why I'm always ready to help the great helper, the great savior that I am. And the other one is the great Swami. I want to be a great Swami so I can lead the way, be the hero. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to want to be a great Swami. I forgive myself, accept, allow myself to have this Swami syndrome within me. where I can be the Superman Swami, so people will bow to me and worship me and send me thank you notes and thank you garlands and flower garlands, and I can be their savior instead of standing equal and one in self-responsibility, equally standing with another and with others. There's no need for appreciation, no need for thank yous, there's no need for anything. We're two equal standing. Well, real appreciation is self-appreciation. I am appreciating everything here as self. There's no need to go and ask for a thank you note. If I'm here completely as the breath of life, every breath, then what is the urge, what is the need for what is the urge or what is the need for any form of appreciation from anyone? Then self-appreciation is naturally present. Appreciation or self-appreciation is not a product of cultivation. I cannot cultivate self-appreciation. There is nothing to be done. I am simply here. I breathe. I self-forgive. I stop craving from others. I forgive myself, accept myself to exist as a craving. Always craving for attention. Always craving for approval. Always craving for validation. I forgive myself, accept myself to desire validation. I forgive myself, accept myself to crave and desire appreciation and validation and recognition from every human being. And if I don't get good attention, I look for the negative attention. I'll say some kind of a nasty comment. Then somebody will say, oh, Anton, that's not cool. That's very bad of you. So that's negative attention. So I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to constantly seek attention, approval and validation from others. Be it a nice one or a bad one, doesn't matter. As long as I get the approval and attention, that's all I want. So I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to constantly search and demand for approval, recognition. I forgive myself that I allow myself to constantly want attention, recognition, approval, and constantly desire this, and then place myself so that I will be appreciated. I almost kind of construct a scenario where other people have no choice but to say thank you. So I forgive myself that I allow myself to constantly want attention and approval. I forgive me that I allow myself to constantly seek attention and approval. I forgive myself that I allow myself to constantly wants to boost my false ego so that I can feel good and be better in the eyes of others. I forgive myself, allow myself to not look at myself. I forgive me that I allow myself to neglect me. In this self-negligence, I want others to look at me and approve me. So that is what I have been living as. I am here, I breathe. Obviously, a lot more self-forgiveness to continue. Please visit us at www.destiny.co.za. Thank you.